Nintendo news has been slow for some time, with only a mini direct in March and our last major direct happening back in September of 2019. Anybody seeking to find out what Nintendo's got up their sleeves are in for a rather sleepy time. But hey, it's not all bad. That aforementioned mini direct revealed something for us Smash fans at least, and that's the ARMS character that's supposed to be revealed any day now. And with it being any day now, I'd like to talk about what we could end up seeing. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm also generic, and let's get right into it. The first thing we should talk about is the medium of how this character is going to be revealed. As everyone knows, due to the current state of the world, E3 along with a lot of other big events has been cancelled, which creates an interesting situation for Nintendo. Without a doubt in my mind, they're planning to reveal everything about this ARMS character, and possibly more, at E3. They can't really do that without an E3, can they? Add in the fact that there's all these insider rumors saying Nintendo doesn't have a direct planned until at earliest September, and we're in for a disappointing time. So, looks like we'll probably only be getting a Mr. Sakurai Presents type video, like we have the last 4 DLC characters. Definitely not going to complain, those are a lot of fun, but I just wouldn't expect a full direct. Of course, there's always the chance that this entire thing is delayed, but I, maybe foolishly, believe that if this were the case, we'd know by now. Therefore, I think June is still on the table for our ARMS fighter release. But there's the big mystery hanging in the air still, isn't there? For the first time in Smash history, Nintendo has told us where a Smash character is coming from, but not who they are. We know we're getting a character from ARMS, but we have no idea who of the 15 playable characters on the ARMS roster it'll be. They've left that entirely up to us to speculate on before the big reveal. So I'm going to lay out all the evidence we have that points towards specific characters in hopes of figuring it all out. Note that, while I could go over all 15 characters and their individual likelihoods to make it in, I'm just going to instead narrow it down to the top 4 most likely characters and talk about them exclusively, just so that this video isn't crazy long. Before I get into those characters though, I want to adjust the odds of us having another hero situation, where we in fact get 4 characters in one slot. Those characters would likely be Springman, Ribbon Girl, Ninjara, and Minh Minh. And while I do definitely think that this is a possibility, there's not much to talk about it, so I won't be touching on it after this point, and instead will only talk about these characters' specific chances. Bergaben has supposedly said he's heard about the ARMS fighter being a multi-character situation like Hero, but it's also entirely possible this screenshot this information comes from is in fact fake, as it's not out anywhere publicly and the guys have been silent on leaks for over a month. Getting into our top 4, we're going to start with the most obvious character there is, Springman. Springman is the poster boy of ARMS and the face of the series, but he's definitely in a peculiar spot for several reasons. When looking at what Springman has going for him, well, as I said, he's the face of the game, the Ryu of ARMS. Having anybody but Springman in Smash would be like having Guile or Zangief before you have Ryu, so why wouldn't it be Springman? On top of that, Springman already has a model in game for them to base his fighter form off of, coming from his assist trophy. We've already had a situation like this happen in Ultimate where Chrom was made into a fighter because they just took his model from Robin's Final Smash, so why couldn't it happen for Springman? But that's actually a great segue into the first part of what Springman has going against him, and that's the forms that he already takes in Smash: a Spirit, a Mii costume, and an assist trophy. Now I personally don't believe that Spirits and Mii costumes mean anything in terms of a fighter getting in. I mean, just look at Mewtwo and Lucas in Smash 4 as base game trophies. However, assist trophies are somewhat of a bigger deal. No assist trophy has ever been promoted to a fighter in the same game like a trophy has, and while it's far from an impossible barrier to cross, it's still a big hurdle that would have to be jumped for the first time in Smash history. There are definitely ways you could work around all of that, it's just a matter of if they want to or not. But his existing presence in Smash isn't what makes Springman so unlikely in my opinion. What makes him so unlikely is the way that Nintendo has thus far marketed an ARMS rep being in Smash. Bringing up the Ryu comparison again, imagine if back during Smash 4, instead of saying Ryu is in Smash, they said a Street Fighter character is coming to Smash, any single one of them is on the table. This would drum up all sorts of hype and speculation. Is it Chun-Li, M. Bison, Ken, Cammy? There's so many possible people it could be, and opening the floodgates like that is so exciting, so eventually just coming out and saying, yep, it's Ryu would just feel so lame. Like, of course it's Ryu. So if after all this time of leaving us in the dark as to who it could be, they just end up giving us the most obvious pick, I'd feel misled. Like, yeah, they never technically lied, Springman is an ARMS fighter, but it would have made so much more sense to just say Springman is coming to Smash instead of hyping it up as any ARMS character is coming to Smash. And it's for that reason alone that makes me feel like Springman is the least likely out of the top candidates. But now, we're going to move on to the secondary face of the game, Ribbon Girl. In terms of what she has going for, of course, as I just said, she's the secondary face of the game, the Chun-Li to Springman's Ryu. But the big plus side to Ribbon Girl is that while she is a Mii costume and spirit, she's not an assist trophy like Springman, making her inclusion all the more probable. The second point is in regards to a common complaint I saw coming out of the first Fighters Pass, which is about representation and how there was no primary female character. Banjo has Kazooie as a sidekick, but Banjo is the face of the duo, and Byleth is a female alt, but it's not the primary one. Having Ribbon Girl as our fighter would easily solve this issue and make those people happy. Moving on again to another top contender, we have Twintel. Twintel has a lot going for her as a popular pick and is in my opinion actually tied for second most likely along with Ribbon Girl. For one, Twintel is an extremely popular character with a lot of fan support. During the Party Crash Bash, which was essentially a massive in-game popularity contest within ARMS, she made it all the way to the semi-finals before she was defeated by Minh Minh. This popularity could easily be a huge factor as to why she could get into Smash. Secondly, Twintel could make for a very interesting take on an ARMS moveset, due to her hair being her signature arms, while she still has a set of normal human arms with which she could do weaker attacks with. She's one of the only characters on the roster to have this, and I think it could make for a really great twist to the moveset. Add to that her ability to seemingly manipulate time to slow incoming attacks, and you've really got something interesting. Lastly, we're going to get back on the topic of representation again. Not only is Twintel a woman, but she's a woman of color, and having her join the Smash roster would make a lot of people happy for this reason alone. Smash isn't so much lacking in female representation anymore, even if people wish there was more in DLC, but it's definitely lacking in racial diversity with the only dark-skinned character being Ganondorf, and a handful of alts. I'm not trying to say that Smash should be trying to fill a quota or make itself all about representation beyond just gaming, but it certainly couldn't hurt anyone if it were to happen. However, I talked about her second set of arms, and there's another side of that I should talk about. While I think her having both sets of arms would be cool, the common argument I hear is that an ARMS rep should probably have their arms be, well, arms. Now while I do kind of agree with this statement, I don't think this at all kills Twintel's chances. I just think it's definitely something to keep in mind in case she doesn't end up happening. And now, we move on to the character I think has the most likely chance of getting in, and that's Minh Minh. Minh Minh has a tremendous amount of evidence going towards her compared to the other characters here, and I'll honestly be shocked if Minh Minh isn't the character we end up getting. For starters, she's seemingly the most popular character in the game as she won the Party Crash Bash, that popularity contest I mentioned before. Now I want to talk about this event more in depth, as it's actually very interesting when you look at it in the context of Smash. The Party Crash Bash began in December 2018 and would continue on for about 7 months before finally ending in June 2019. The timing of this is very interesting, since it began right after the release of Smash Ultimate in December and went on to end in June 2019, right around the time that the talks of a second Fighters Pass would be in their end stages. The second Fighter Pass was confirmed internally by at least July 2019, as Sakurai talked about it in the Banjo presentation, which was filmed at the same time as the Hero presentation. Now, I'm not saying that the Party Crash Bash was 100% meant to choose who they would put in Smash Ultimate, but it's definitely worth pointing out that the timing of it all is very suspect. If you want to really pull those tinfoil hats on tight though, the way they advertised the finale of it all between Ninjara and Minh Minh is very peculiar as well. They called it the Ultimate Party Crash Bash. Ultimate is obviously the subtitle of Smash, but then even the name Party Crash Bash is interesting as, you know, both words rhyme with Smash. Okay, moving away from conspiracy territory, we'll talk about what else she has going for her. And the first of that is her moveset potential. Minh Minh has a lot of it. She's the only character in the game to mix in kicks with her moveset, so that alone could make her more interesting than Twintel and her smaller arms. But then, she also has her own unique arm, the Dragon Arm, which would make for a really interesting twist to her moveset as it fires off a laser to hit enemies instead of hitting foes like normal. The last thing I want to touch on is her place in leaks and rumors. As I mentioned before, Vergaben has heard Min Min specifically alongside Springman and Ribbon Girl, but so has Papa Gino's, who has said he's heard rumors of Min Min a lot more than other characters, so it seems she in particular is a fairly popular choice among insiders. As I said, I think Min Min is absolutely going to be our fighter. There's a lot of interesting things happening with her right now that lead me to think she has much more of a chance than anyone else. But now, we're gonna get away from everything about the ARMS fighter and talk about the stage we could get. I think the ARMS stage we end up getting will most likely coincide with the fighter we get, as each stage is home to a fighter, but I want to highlight some specific possibilities. The first is Spring Stadium, Springman's home stage and the one we'd get if he were the pick. Spring Stadium is possibly the most basic and boring option, but it's still an option because it's the default ARMS stage. Another possibility, and my personal favorite, is Ribbon Ring, which we would get if we got Ribbon Girl. It has the platforms of the stage rise and lower randomly, which would make for a cool stage in terms of layout, as it would be constantly changing for a dynamic and fun experience. Then, there's Ramen Bowl and Cinema Duh, which are Min Min and Twintel stages respectively. Both are rather plain with not much to them, but at least they're more interesting in layout than Spring Stadium. And then the last possibility in my opinion is the Sky Arena, which is Max Brass's stage and the boss stage of the game's Grand Prix mode. It's pretty basic, but it's better than Spring Stadium since it has a central platform that's risen to split the stage essentially in 3 sections. But now we're gonna move on to the music and spirits. I'm not gonna touch too much on the music though. We surprisingly don't have any ARMS music in Smash yet, so any and all music is fair game and totally possible. I'd expect 10 to 15 music tracks like we got with Bailu. As for spirits though, we already have 5 of them in Smash. There are Springman, Ribbon Girl, Ninjara, Min Min, and Twintel. We'll likely get 10 new spirits of the other ARMS fighters that are missing, and the existing ARMS spirits will be added to the ARMS spirit board for those who own it, while being taken out of rotation in the normal spirit board. Now, we're going to move away from ARMS in particular and talk about what other content we could see make its way into Smash Ultimate alongside ARMS, starting with Mii costumes. Guessing Mii costumes as a whole is such an impossible task that I'm not even going to attempt to do it, although I would like to touch on 2 different things when it comes to Mii's. Number 1, returning Mii costumes, and number 2, deluxe Mii costumes. From Smash 4, we're missing some third-party DLC Mii costumes, which are Heihachi of Tekken, Lloyd Irving of Tales of Symphonia, the 2 Monster Hunter sets from Monster Hunter, Gil from the Tower of Druaga, and Gino from Super Mario RPG. It's possible that we get any number of these back here if none of them are planned as a fighter down the line. As for deluxe Mii costumes, which are those better quality Mii costumes that come with a song, we have a few candidates I'd like to point out, which are Gino from Super Mario RPG as a gunner, Freddy of Five Nights at Freddy's as a brawler, the Knight from Hollow Knight as a sword fighter, Quote from Cave Story as a gunner, Shovel Knight as a sword fighter, and Claren from Rivals of Aether as a sword fighter as well. Really, if we get a deluxe Mii costume, it could be any indie or semi-popular character that people want, but any of these would be my best guesses. But before we end the video, I want to talk about the chance that this ARMS fighter wasn't the only one we'd be seeing at E3. Looking at Smash DLC when it comes to E3, it seems like they've always done double reveals. Back during Smash 4, Ryu and Roy were both revealed just before E3, and last year, we had a double reveal of Banjo and Hero. So it stands to reason that this year at E3 we would have gotten another double reveal of our first ARMS fighter, and then the second fighter of Fighter Pass 2. Realistically, it could have been anyone. And there's always the chance that since there's no E3 or June Direct this year that they delay the reveal, but my money is on them still revealing the character anyway, since they will have had months of work already done on them. There's a lot of characters it could be, almost too many to be able to realistically guess, but if I had to put my money on any of them, I'd say Steve from Minecraft has a pretty good shot of happening here. Minecraft is an absolute titan of a game series, being the best-selling game of all time, and it not being represented in Smash in any way at all before Smash 6 would be a serious missed opportunity, especially considering Microsoft and Nintendo's current good working relationship. Steve might not be the best Avatar character of all time, but he's still just as iconic as many of the other parts of Minecraft like the Creeper. And that's not even talking about the crazy moveset potential this blocky boy would come with, from all his time at building and adventuring. Plus, you can't try to tell me that a Minecraft stage wouldn't be one of the coolest ones ever if done right. All in all, I think Minecraft representation is coming at some point, and I think E3 would have been the prime time to reveal this character to really draw people in to buy the second Fighter's Pass. And that's about all I expect we'll see in the upcoming ARMS presentation. But what do you think? Do you think Minh Minh is the most likely character to make the roster, or do you think it'll be someone else? Do you think we'll get a second character announced for a later date, or do you think ARMS will be all we have to tide us over for now? Let me know down in the comments below, and of course make sure to subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed it. I'm also Generic, thank you so much for watching, I'll catch you next time.